everyone, welcome back to another video. So today I am doing a video that has been very highly requested. This video is going to be part of my tips and tricks on how to improve your coloring skills series. I have seen quite a few posts go through my Facebook group where people are asking how come I can still see the white of the paper, and they are wondering why no matter how many layers they lay down, they are still able to see the white of the paper, or their pencils look a little bit scratchy. And then I had asked on my community tab yesterday what videos y'all would like to see. Most of you that have been following me for quite some time, you know that I always like to bring you videos that you have requested. And so I had asked on my Facebook or on my YouTube community tab yesterday what you would like to see, and of course that came up once again. And the question was, how do I make my coloring look smoother? When I'm coloring, I don't like to use any sort of solvents or anything like that to make my pencils blend together. I like my pencils to blend together on their own, and if they don't, then I'm probably just not going to use them. I like to really see what I can bring out with my colored pencils and my colored pencils alone, unless I'm doing something that is very mixed media. But I don't like the smell of all of those solvents and everything else, and I don't like to have to bring them in and make my pencils blend together. Even when I have used Crayola pencils, I have found that they blend together beautifully. I mean, you may have to work with them a little bit more, but they still do blend together very well for me. And it's always all about matching your pencils to your paper. And so we're going to go over a little bit of that today. And I have 3 different papers that I'm going to use. So I have Joanna Basford's Enchanted Forest coloring book. So the paper in here is the paper that a lot of us use. The paper in all of her books, I don't know if they're exactly the same, but they are very similar. Some of them are a little bit more yellow than her newer books. I believe that this Enchanted Forest book, the paper is a little bit more yellow than something like World of Flowers, if I'm remembering correctly. I also made a copy of the same page in here that I'm going to demonstrate on the Spring Hill paper. And then I have also an Amazon book. Dependent upon what coloring book you're using or what paper you're using, it's going to make a huge difference in the way that you color and how many layers you need to lay down to make your coloring look smooth. I really wanted to be able to do this video to answer this question because there was one specific post that came up in my Facebook group, and it was by Erin, who was also a subscriber. I'll have her picture up in the upper right hand corner. She wanted to know how to fill the white of the paper. I believe she was using the 120 set of square Brutfuner pencils, and I always tell y'all, match your paper with your pencils. I don't know if maybe the issue is that the Brutfuner pencils don't go down nicely in Enchanted Forest, but let's go ahead and open up the book. I made a copy of this page. This page here is the page that she colored, but I found this page right next to the page that she colored that has a bunch of small acorns on it and a couple leaves and stuff, so that I could test. Maybe I'll test the Brutfuner pencils out in one of these leaves really quick. I'm not going to try to be artistic or anything, but I'd like to see. I've never tested those pencils out on this paper, so I'll go ahead and do that for y'all today. But I'm trying to get a whole lot into one video, but I don't want the video to go on and extend way off too long. So let me go ahead and put some colors together. I'm going to go ahead and color in this leaf just to be able to test out some of my Brutfuner pencils from the 120 set on this book and see if maybe that's where she was experiencing an issue and not able to get these pencils to blend very well. Now, I have experienced with these Brutfuner pencils that they go down beautifully in the Maria Trolle books. I've done several videos, or a couple of videos, I think, using these in a question and answer series that I was working on, but I used these pencils on that paper and they worked beautifully on that paper. This paper is a little bit smoother and has less tooth, so that may be the issue. So let's go ahead and just try these out, and I'm going to start by just coloring in this leaf just a little bit here. And I'm not going to try to be, you know, extra artistic or anything. I'm just going to try to put some colors together to see how these work and blend out in this book. So I'm just laying, let me tell you what this number is. This is 069. I don't have the translated names with me right now, so I can't tell you exactly what the names of them are, but I can give you the numbers. This one is 020. And I'm just trying to see how these blend together. And I am using very light pressure. I have, if you can see this, I've got my fingers pretty far back on this pencil so that I don't apply too much pressure. Because I've noticed with any of Johanna's books, it takes layers, but it doesn't take as many layers as something like my Spring Hill paper. So I like to make sure I come in and lay the layers down with very light pressure and just go very, very slowly. Okay, so I think I have enough of that colored down. Now this one is 119, so 119. And I'm going to add some of this in here. And they seem to be working really well in this book. So far, anyway. We'll see what happens as I start to lay more layers down. I want to color this enough to be able to show y'all how to be able to bring all of your colors together and burnish them together in the end so that you can have that look of it just being really, really smooth. And I think I'm accomplishing that so far. I can see how it's all sort of coming together as I lay these colors down onto the paper. This color is 020, and I'm just sort of layering all of these colors over one another and just laying them in and around this leaf. And it looks like they're blending out nicely. I'm not having any issues laying them down. And maybe, Erin, if you're watching this, maybe you can, watch the technique that I'm using all the way until the end. I'm sorry that I couldn't go and color the exact chest that you're coloring on the other page. I want to be able to fit quite a lot into this video. And so just to save on time, I'm doing this just on this one little leaf, because even the leaf, if I go slow and layer my colors over one another, even this one leaf for me is still going to take a little bit of time. And I'm probably not doing a very good job of staying in the lines, am I? And that's why I have my trusty mono eraser. I guess that would be a good time to test that mono eraser too and see how it works with these Brutfuners. I know it works really well with my Prismacolors. Okay, so I'm going to come back with this next color again. This is 020. And I'm going to keep layering my colors. And these do seem to be working really, really well. The white of the paper is definitely filling, but maybe I had suggested to Erin when she posted that in my Facebook group, I had suggested that she just possibly needed more layers, and I believe that she is still working on it. She sent me 2 different pictures. It looked like she had laid down some more color, but hopefully maybe this video will help her and help all of you to be able to see how to layer the colors. And then I'm going to get back to when I get all the colors laid down exactly where I want them, then I will come back and I'll burnish all of the colors together, and you'll be able to see exactly how that works. Because I know I have a lot of new subscribers, and I know a lot of you are beginners and you're just learning how to work with colored pencils. So I'm hoping that this video will be really helpful. And y'all, if you have Prismacolors and have these 120 Brutfuners and you have not tried using them together, oh, they work beautifully together. I love using my Prismacolors with these pencils, and there's so many. I was sitting here trying to match up some colors before I made this video for y'all, and there were a couple of the Prismacolors that I had picked out. I was trying to match them up, but there was a couple of the Prismacolors that I picked up that I was able to match to some of the Brutfuner colors, but there were others that there were not matches at all. So if you have both of those sets, there's some very different colors, of course, in the Prismacolors, we all know that, but in this 120 set, there are some very different, beautiful colors as well. Now I'm going to come back in here and I am going to lay down my highlight color, and again, I'm still using very light pressure. I'm not putting my fingers way too close, down here, because I'm not ready to burnish, but I'm trying to keep my fingers pretty far back on the pencil and hold it at the side so I could just come in here and blend these colors together. But look how nicely they're blending together. So when you come back and you blend the colors together and you start the process of burnishing, which is where you just bring all the colors together to give it that smoother look, and get rid of the white of the paper. But when you come back and you start to burnish, you may want to try just going in a circular motion like this. And you can do this a couple times, not just once. I mean, you can go over it and just continue to bring the colors together as you see the white of the paper go away. And if you notice, you can see that the white of the paper is really starting to go away on this leaf. And I'm still coming back and I'm still adding more layers and still trying to bring the colors together, and it is still taking the pencil on this paper. Okay, so I sharpened my pencil and gave it a nice sharp lead because I want to come back in here and I want to add a bit more depth to this leaf. Of course, every time I say I'm not going to try to be extra artistic, I have to go back and add more color and do something else, right? And I just broke my lead. It looks like we are about at max layers, and I really can't lay that much more down. I mean, it's laying down just a little bit, but not a whole lot. Okay, and I'm turning my pencil just a little bit so I can get right into that corner with this darker color, just to create quite a bit more depth. And I mean, it is still taking color, but you could see that my fingers have moved down quite a bit, because I'm trying to add quite a bit more pressure on my pencil. And these pencils are pretty hard, so they can totally handle that. Like if this was a Prismacolor, I may not be able to do that, but the Prismacolors, of course, go down much differently. And so you would be able to really still add that color, because the color with the Prismacolors, they just lay down so nicely that they just keep on piling that pigment right down on your coloring page. But these pencils do work really well in this book, and I'm really surprised because I thought they would not, since the paper is quite a bit smoother. I really like how this looks. Now, you can see how many times I've gone back and I have worked on this just to get the colors to come together and look really smooth. And I'm still able to keep coming back even after I burnished just a little bit. I'm still coming back and laying more color, and I could actually see the color, and it's still working. I know a lot of you that follow me are always curious about which pencils work best in which books. And so this is another great combination for you. These pencils are working beautifully in this Johanna Basford book. Just keep coming back and adding more and more layers. And look how pretty this is. I could even come back with my lightest color again, and I can go over this even more and burnish all of these colors together. So now I've got my my fingers much closer to the tip of the pencil, so I could really apply much harder pressure and just go in a circular motion and bring all of these colors together. But these pencils are really, really wonderful. And if you've not seen all my videos on these pencils, I will link that in the upper right hand corner. I've also swatched all of them out and I swatched all of them out and I made a video for y'all so that you can put yours in perfect color family order. I've done so much with these pencils. I also took a picture of my swatch charts and I made them available in my Etsy store, and I'll make sure all of that is linked in the description box below. I have covered all of the white of the paper, and the pencils came together beautifully. So if you were wondering how your 120 set of square Brutfuners were going to perform in this book, they performed beautifully, and hopefully some of you can use the technique that you saw me use on this one little leaf and apply it to something that is much bigger. So this is the Spring Hill paper. Y'all know I really, really love the Spring Hill paper, and let's see really quickly if I get the same results. But let me go ahead and sharpen my pencils. Now, if y'all have not if you have these pencils and you are curious about which pencil sharpener works the best for these pencils, this is my Doll 133. Y'all know how much I love this pencil sharpener, but it sharpens these beautifully. I really, really love these pencils in this pencil sharpener, and this pencil sharpener works for every single pencil set that I have. Okay, so my pencils are nice and sharp now, and I think we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to really quickly color in this. Oh my gosh, I said we're really quickly. Do I do anything really quickly? No, never when I'm coloring. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to try these pencils on the Spring Hill paper, and we're going to see what happens. So I'm just laying my base layer here of my highlight color. And I should be able to go a little bit faster since I just did already color this. Now this paper is much toothier than what you're gonna find in Joanna Basford's coloring books. Oh my goodness, this is going down like a dream. Oh wow, they went down very, very nicely in the coloring book. But on this paper, whoa. Of course, I've told y'all that this paper is wonderful for most all colored pencils because it is toothy, and when you're using colored pencils, the toothier paper usually tends to work much better. So let's come back with the darkest color now, and we are going to add some of this in here. Oh yeah, this is layering much better than in that book. Y'all could probably see the difference. I really love these pencils so much. I have 2 sets now of these pencils. That is how much I love them. I've got my replacement set in there because these pencils are just so amazing, and they are so cheap as well. You can get, well, I think the price actually just went up, but they didn't go up that much. They went up by $5, I believe. I think they're like $34.99 last time I checked. But when I purchased mine, I got them for like $25 on a limited time deal. Even with the price increase, without any deals, they are still so worth it because you're getting 120 pencils for a super cheap price. So yeah, these pencils work beautifully on this paper. I am loving this. And look how, I don't know, like are the colors, maybe because the paper is much whiter, the colors are really standing out so much more. But as I look at this, it seems that the colors are a little bit more vibrant. I'll have to grab that book again when I'm done, and we'll have to compare the outcomes. I'll have to grab the Joanna Basford book and check that out and put them, you know, one right next to the other after I finish this one, and so we can see the difference. I was actually planning on coloring an acorn for this video, and then I ended up going right to this leaf just because it was going to be quicker. And I really want to be able to test this out on the Amazon paper as well. And I thought since we are getting sort of out of the summertime, and you know, even Starbucks is coming out already with their, I think they already came out with their pumpkin lattes, and so we're getting into that time of year, so I thought it would be cool just to do something that was, you know, color things that were sort of fall looking. Let me go ahead and come back with my highlight color really quickly here. Now I'm curious to try these pencils also on my Strathmore colored pencil paper that I have just discovered that I love so much. But I am able to get so much more pigment down here. Look at how much more pigment I'm laying down. Look how the colors are just piling just because there is so much more tooth to this paper. And I'm definitely going to grab that other one when I'm done and hold them up right next to one another and show y'all the difference. But paper definitely makes a difference, and I know we all want to color in these beautiful coloring books, but there are other pencils too that work much better in Johanna's books. Like I love how my Prismacolors work in her books, and I find that I'm able to get many more layers down in her books, maybe because they're a wax-based pencil, because when it comes to my Polychromos, I don't like, they work okay in her books, but I prefer my Polychromos in other books and on other paper. And these are oil-based just as the Polychromos are. So maybe that is the difference. But then again, I love how my Prismacolors work on this paper, and I love how these pencils are working on this paper. But when I tried my Polychromos on this paper, I honestly really did not care for it. Okay, so let's come back and burnish some of these colors together and see what we've got. I think I have plenty of layers down here now. Holding my fingers that close to the lead, trying to get all that extra pressure in there. I know that I'm sometimes getting in the way of the camera. I keep having to blow all of that pigment out of the way there. It went out of the lines a little bit here, but that doesn't matter because I'm just really doing a little test here for y'all and trying to show you how to get your colors to blend together seamlessly, just because I have seen this question come up so often, and I finally just wanted to do a video just to address that one question, to show how to get all of your colors burnished together. And you need to add quite a few layers. So the key here is when you think you're done with something, add another layer. I always continuously just keep adding layers and coming back and adding more layers. And even after I just used my lightest color to burnish all those colors together, I am still coming back and adding more layers. But you can see with these pencils, I am able to actually keep coming back and adding more layers. Let me go ahead and test my mono eraser now on these pencils. I know that they pick up the pigment of my Prismacolors really, really well. Let's see how they do with these Brutfuner pencils. Oh, wow. Okay. It worked quite well. And then if you ever go out of the lines and you come in with your mono eraser and it doesn't lift the pigment enough or as much as you want it to, you can always just put your white pencil, lay your white pencil down on top of your white paper, and it will just go right over it and you'll never even be able to tell that you all made a mistake. Okay, so let's go ahead and put these together and see the difference. Now, if I'm looking at them, I don't know if y'all could see that, but I've got them both one right next to the other, and you could tell that this paper here is much more yellow, and then this paper here is a very bright white. So it's kind of like a little bit of a trick to the eyes too as well. Not only is this paper much toothier, and so it's going to take much more of the pigment, but this one has more of a yellow to it. So I really believe that when you're using browns and yellows and colors of that nature, your color that is behind it, the actual color of the paper in the book, it is going to make this look much more brighter and pronounced and really stand out and a little bit more elevated, just because the paper is so white, and so that's going to lift it much more. So really, it's sort of hard to tell. I mean, I know because if you watched what I did, you can tell that I probably more than likely was able to lay a lot more layers down on this paper just because it is quite toothier. And it looks like I still need to come back and I need to blend some of this out quite a bit more. But it looks here that I probably need to come back and just blend this in even more. I don't know, they actually, I don't know, this paper took a lot more layers, and I could see how much darker my darkest color was. But if I look really closely at this, there are a lot of spaces where it just looks a little bit sketchy. Like I don't like the way that they blended together on this paper. So what looked okay a little while ago as I was coloring, and I was happy with, the layers or the amount of layers I was able to lay down on this paper. If I come over here and I look at the leaf on the Johanna Basford book, it blended together so much nicer. So I don't know, maybe that is the difference between the oil-based pencils and the wax-based pencils, because maybe I should try my Prismacolors and do a leaf with my Prismacolors, and so we could see the difference. And this wasn't even supposed to be about leaves. I was going to color an acorn in this video. Because I already have so many leaf videos on my channel. But this one wasn't necessarily a leaf tutorial. This was just to test out the pencils and show y'all how to layer colors down so that you could fill all that white of the paper. But this just goes to show that you really have to match your pencils to your paper, and every single pencil, like whether it is my Brutfuner square pencils or my Polychromos, they're all going to go down differently on different papers. And of course, in this one video, I don't have time to sit here and test out every single pencil on every single paper. If you would like to see like a video where I test out maybe like Polychromos in 2 different places, please let me know, and I can make this sort of like a series where I test out different pencils on different papers. But just looking at these, just using the 120 set of the Brutfuners, just looking at these and comparing these two, I like much more how they lay down on the Johanna Basford book. Even though when I was laying them down, they laid down really nicely, I thought that I was going to come over here and do the same thing on the on the Spring Hill paper. But now that I'm looking at it after it's all come together, I do see some spaces where I just don't like how it came together when I burnished it out. But it was able to take many more layers. But both of them look good. I mean, this one looks okay. I just really like how the Brutfuners performed in this book better. So it's not just about how many layers the paper can take, it's also about how they're going to come together in the end with the texture of the paper. So maybe these Brutfuners work a little bit better on this paper. But I mean, I've used them in my Maria Trolle books, and I really like how they perform in those books too. So if you have the 120 set of the square Brutfuners, you've got 2 books that I can surely tell you they work really, really well on, and that would be the Maria Trolle books. If you want to see those videos, I'll link it in the upper right-hand corner, and they work beautifully also in this book as well. This is Johanna Basford's Enchanted Forest. I went and grabbed an Amazon printed book, and so this is Fall Friends by Deborah Muller. Y'all know how much I love Deborah Muller, and so of course I had to use one of her books, and she happened to have one that was autumn themed. So this is Fall Friends, and it's got lots of pumpkins and leaves and all kinds of things in here. So I think I'm going to go ahead and color this pumpkin right here, because I want to do one. I don't want to do one that's too small, but I don't want to do one that's too big and it's going to take up a lot of time. I really just want to test these pencils on this paper or an Amazon book. So we're going to go ahead and do that with a pumpkin because, like I said, I wanted to keep this video sort of fall themed. Okay, so I picked 3 colors. I've got 004 and this really pretty 098 that looks like a beautiful highlight color, and I did swatch these off to the side, make sure they blended together nicely. And then I've got 0225. I do want to encourage you to, before you ever put your colors on your coloring page, go ahead and swatch them out off to the side and make sure they come together beautifully. And then of course it's always really great to have, let me start with my highlight color, but it's always really great to have your colors all swatched out. And if you are not someone who likes to swatch, then I do have my Brutfuner swatch chart. I took pictures of it and I made it available in my Etsy store, and I'll make sure that is linked in the description box below. I actually took all of these pencils, like I said earlier, and put them all in perfect color family order. Y'all could follow that video and use the free swatch chart in my Facebook group in the files section, or you can get a copy of my swatch chart that I took a picture of and made it available in my Etsy store, and I'll make sure that is all linked down below for you. I'm coming in and I'm going to add my 004, and already these are going down very nicely on this paper. And so many people really hate on this Amazon paper. I see it so often and all the time. Even, especially in my Facebook group, I've seen it quite a lot. And I have colored in this Amazon paper for the longest time, and I really actually like it. So I don't understand all the negativity against the Amazon paper. Look how pretty these colors are. So I'm just laying this color down in all of the areas that I want it, and I am using pretty light pressure with these pencils. I think I tend to, with my Prismacolors, I think I really tend to use a lot lighter pressure, and I feel like when I take out my oil pencils like these or my Polychromos or whatever, I feel like I get a little bit heavier handed. Just because I know I can. Because usually when I'm using my Prismacolors, I notice that my fingers are a lot further back than they are when I use something like my Brutfuners or my Polychromos. But that's okay because these are much harder than Prismacolors and they could actually handle it. So now I'm going to come in with my darkest color and I'm going to layer over some of this. These are really working beautifully in this book on this paper. So yeah, maybe I'll show y'all that this Amazon paper is actually really good. and encourage you to buy some more of these Amazon books and really support some of these artists that only have the ability to sell their books on Amazon. Because I know there are some artists that just don't want to have an Etsy shop, and you know, the only way they have to make their books available to us is through Amazon. And so then I think a lot of us tend to not buy the books just because you can only get them on Amazon, and you're afraid that this paper is not going to be good just because you see so many other people saying the paper is not good. But I have colored so much on this paper, and I don't know, before I had a YouTube channel and I really needed to find paper that worked really well to be able to print out PDFs, I used to color only in books. I always colored on this Amazon paper. I really love how my Prismacolors go down on this paper. Okay, so now I'm just trying to pull some of these colors together with my mid-tone. It almost looks like I may need like a brown or something just to sort of blend these colors together and bring in some more dimension. I might have to test out some more colors because I don't think that this is going to be enough colors being all oranges. This color is just gorgeous, but these colors, they're still blending together very nicely. And I'm going to show you that even on the Amazon paper, you can cover all of the white of the paper. Now, a lot of times I like to use some of the white of the paper and create a little bit extra of a highlight just to sort of make it pop. And you can do that too. But it looks really good so far. But I think that I do need a color that is a bit darker. I think this brown is a 020. I think that this is going to work really well. So let me see if I could actually layer this on top of that and how that works on this Amazon paper. This is a really good test. I do think I need something that's quite a bit darker though. It actually is laying right over the other color and creating a lot of extra depth and dimension. Look at that. I hope y'all can see that on camera. I am zoomed in pretty close. I think I'm zoomed in actually all the way. So I can't zoom in any more than I already am. But I am using quite a bit harder pressure now just because I'm trying to get that color laid down on the paper, and I already had a few layers down there, and this is actually working really well. And I have noticed with these Brutfuners that it does leave a lot of that dust, which that's fine. You know, my Prismacolors do that too, so, and you know how much I love my Prismacolors, and we all love our Prismacolors. Okay, so I think that's really pretty. Let's see how much more we could get down here. Look how much these are actually laying down. That is really surprising. Wow. Look at the blend of those two colors together. That is so pretty. I think our pumpkin is going to be beautiful after all. I think I need something a little bit darker though, like a really dark brown. Okay, let me try this color. This is 023, and I'm only using this just to create a little bit more depth. Oh, look at that. It's really working well. That is what it needed. And you see how these colors are just laying down one right over the other? That is what you want your pencils to do. And this is exactly how you get rid of the white of the paper. And I'm just using the lines that Deborah created in her artwork to really just create all of this added extra depth and dimension. So always use the artist's artwork as a guide, and then let it guide you as to where you lay your colors down and where they're gonna look best. And you could see that I'm doing that just a little bit more here. But look how beautifully these are working on this paper. I love how I have that extra bit of highlight in there. Look how pretty this is. Okay, y'all, so these, seriously, you need to buy yourself some Amazon books just to use your budget-friendly Brutfuner pencils, because this is coming together beautifully. You see the things that you can actually discover once you start just really playing with your pencils and testing them out on different paper. Now see, with this, I'm using this as my highlight color just to bring everything together. And look how much of the white of the paper I have actually covered. And look at all that extra depth and dimension that I've created. Now over here, I'm purposely leaving that white because I want to give this pumpkin just that little bit extra of an added pop. And then I'm going over here where I laid my darkest colors just because I want to brighten it up just a little bit, because I don't want to be able to see that brown. But look how the color is just continues to allow me to lay it down. And I may actually like this Amazon paper the best. I do. I mean, I really, really do. I love how these went down on the Amazon paper. I have noticed though with my, with these Brutfuner pencils that the leads go down fairly quickly. Like, I would say quicker than my Prismacolors. I don't know if maybe it's the way that I'm using them, although y'all can see how I'm using them. But I do find that I try to apply more pressure when I'm using oil-based pencils, so that may be part of it. But I'm just glad to have another set, and I hope these are always available to us because they are wonderful pencils. But look at this. It's coming together absolutely beautiful. And I'm just adding a little bit more of this orange here just to brighten things up and to take away some of that brown. But I think that it worked really, really nicely, and you could see that it looks smooth. I mean, it looks smooth to me. And a little trick with your budget-friendly pencils, if you think that it doesn't look smooth enough, you can always grab a Prismacolor and go right over it with a Prismacolor. But you can see what it looks like now, and I'm just going to take my 025 and I'm going to add in a little bit more of this color just to go over those spaces where I added that brown, because this was my darkest orange. And I feel like it is just going to brighten everything up. But I have maxed out the amount of layers on this paper. It is still laying down, but I am very close to an end here. So I'm not going to be able to get that much more of this down on the paper. But I really love how it looks. So that looks really, really pretty to me. And I'm probably just going to go ahead and color the top part of the pumpkin in with some green. Okay, so we've now tested out the 120 square Brutfuners on 3 different types of paper, 2 different types of coloring books, and I believe these are probably the most popular coloring books that people use. Either the Amazon books that we purchase off of Amazon, like the paper in those is going to be the same, in the Deborah Muller book that I showed you is going to be the same as like Jade Summer, or any of those other books that you can purchase on Amazon. So let's go ahead and go over this a little bit. Now, the Spring Hill paper, y'all know how much I love this paper. Now, I love this paper with my Prismacolors, and that's really what I generally use on the Spring Hill paper. I love how my Prismacolors work on it. I've tried my Polychromos. I was not happy with the way the Polychromos worked on the Spring Hill paper. This is the 120 Brutfuner set, and I loved how many layers I was able to apply. Maybe if I had a different coloring style, I don't know, but the whole point was to make sure that the colors blended together seamlessly and looked really pretty, because that is the question that I was trying to answer, or the problem I was trying to solve for y'all when you're telling me that you are not able to get rid of all of the white of the paper and you still don't like how your coloring just doesn't look smooth. So here is what this one looked like. And I am not really happy with that one because I loved how many layers I was able to apply on the paper. But if you look at this, I don't like here how it looks a little bit sketchy. It doesn't look right in some of the areas here where this highlight is after I came back in and I burnished all of those together. I don't care for that. So I won't use my 120 Brutfuners on this paper. This is how it turned out when I did it on the Johanna Basford Enchanted Forest book, and it didn't take as many layers. It was a little bit more difficult for me to layer the colors because the paper does not have a lot of tooth. It's a smoother paper. But in the end, after everything came together and I burnished it all together, it has a much smoother look. And I'll hold this up closer so y'all can see that. But it came together and it looks much smoother and much more beautiful. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the Amazon paper now. I came back on this pumpkin and I did color in the top green, and I just did it really quick. Like, I wasn't trying to get carried away with being extra artistic or anything because it's such a small space, but I just wanted you to see the whole pumpkin come together. As I look at this, it looks like it worked really well. I'm not really crazy about the colors I chose. I wish I had a little bit more choice of colors in my 120 Brutfuner set. I think if I would have colored this with Prismacolors, it would have looked much different. But the pencils worked very nicely on this paper, and I liked how they laid down. I was able to add just enough layers so that I can make my colors go over one another and blend the colors together, creating other colors. So those are my results, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this video helped you out just a little bit so that you can take your 120 Brutfuners and apply them to your coloring book of choice. And I guess you can make your own determination upon this video and then testing it out yourself in different books or on different paper. But I hope, Erin, that I was able to help you out a little bit and show you that you just need to probably come back and apply quite a few more layers. And if you do that, the colors should all come together, because with my results on that coloring book that you're coloring in on just that one little small leaf, all of the colors came together beautifully. So maybe if you just want to watch that part of the video and sort of try to follow along with that, maybe you can complete the wagon and make your colors come together much better. And then I would love to see you share it in my Facebook group. With that being said, I will see you all in the next video. Happy coloring. Bye.